Hello, everybody. It is Monday here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, the Rest of the International Desk, and of course, the WViDesk.com, which is our website, and you can check it out right now. And on YouTube at WViDesk 2016. This is episode 307. My name is Darragh O'Connor, and I'm joined by Mr. Bryn O'Rourke. Bryn, how are you, sir?
I'm very good, man. How are you?
Good. Glad to be back. We're
Yeah,
getting better with the schedule, but stuff is still
I'm good on Mr. Meeseeks anyway, helping us.
B6. But you've been busy on the YouTubes,
Yeah,
posting
yeah. I'm trying
materials
to get
about
cast
them.
by cast going, and I was supposed to have more episodes done, but unfortunately, getting Lucha Underground content put out has proved to be much more time consuming than I thought it would be.
Yes.
But yeah, there will be, for those who are interested, there will be a Lucha Underground episode talking primarily about Ultimate Lucha, but pretty much the rest of the season too. So
Sweet.
watch out for that.
A lot of this stuff, guys, is a work in progress. We're still trying to figure out how everything works and try to fit around schedules and all that. But we are still endeavoring to produce content on a weekly basis. And if you guys like it, subscribe to the podcast. Go over to iTunes, Rest of You Media. You'll be able to find our show and also everything that Adam and Doug do, or Adam and Trey did this week actually for Bound for Glory. Which, believe it or not, I haven't actually had a chance to watch yet, but we do have a lot to talk about on that front. We have a lot to talk about WWE Raw. I was at the house show this
Oh,
week.
were you?
I was. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, we have quite a lot
There's
to get through.
other stuff to talk about too.
Yeah. So
I
uh,
think the kind of the biggest news this week though probably was for the first time in a long time was not in WWE. It
yes,
was in Japan.
it was, and it's this is unprecedented actually. Well, unless you want to factor in Brock Lesnar, but I think this is different because it wasn't like there's no real belts involved here. This wasn't really that kind of thing. It was just
It's to start off as a Twitter spat
yeah, it's just
that like
it's kind of like what Cody Rhodes has done, but in reverse, in a sense where you know he left WWE on bad terms, and he's went off
yeah
to Japan and made himself. But now Chris Jericho, is just kind of like, well, like, okay, it's Twitter spot. We're gonna bring this full circle now and it ends up in Wrestle Kingdom. You
yeah,
know,
which
which,
is
which
crazy,
which is insane. Of course, for anyone who doesn't know,
absolutely crazy.
well, for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, and we kind of gave it away there, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega are going to wrestle each other.
Wrestle Kingdom, which is basically WrestleMania for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, it's a January show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in January. It's in January
Yeah,
every year. Again, Wrestle Kingdom 9, which was a couple of years ago now. For me, is still one of the best wrestling pay-per-views I've ever seen. It's up there with WrestleMania 17 for me. So I'm very
mm.
excited to see this. I think it's the most accessible show for people who have never ever watched New Japan.
From people who are like positive on New Japan, it definitely seems to be that way. Unfortunately for me, I just have the misfortune of like watching it and enjoying. Eh,
Yeah,
okay. I see why people like this, and as I
exactly.
just sit on my hands, like, you
Well,
know,
well, that's what happens in Japan anyway. You know,
yeah.
no one really
No,
caps.
but I
Huh.
mean, I mean, I just never really get like immersed in the stories of what's happening. I just kind of go, this is good wrestling, and then it just doesn't go further than that for me.
Yeah.
So like, and then then I'll watch like something from CMLL. I'll go, yeah, no, John, and like, jump all over the
Well, I
place
well, I think
because
well, I think it's one or the other. It's like either you like
yeah,
Japan style or you like the lucha style. Now, for me,
yeah,
I I like the Japan style compared to the lucha style. Like I like
yeah,
lucha, but I wouldn't sit there and go, "Oh my God, it's amazing."
yeah.
I prefer
I,
the
I,
I
yeah,
prefer the
I
strong
like
style of the
Lucha more just because it's like, I think what it comes down to is like, if you want believability, you watch Japanese. If you want storytelling and if you want like storytelling and like fantastic elements, you watch um you watch Lucha.
exactly. Yeah, and
You know?
that's the difference. That is the
Yeah.
difference. And that's why I like it. But I think again, for anybody who isn't well versed in Japanese wrestling, Wrestle
Mm.
Kingdom will probably be the most widely available show
I
to
mean,
actually see.
like I'm never a big fan. Like I'm not the most positive person on New Japan, but I will always watch a Wrestle Kingdom because I'm always like, well, maybe I'll get into it this time.
Yeah,
You know, because like, there's always that hope. It's all I can do is just hope. You know.
it's not good, but there's some stuff that you might like, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how I view WWE nowadays, where it's like, you're gonna have a good time, but don't put too much time into it because it is just kind of,
It's just a there
yeah,
thing.
it's like a
Yeah.
nonsensical fun kind of thing. It's not anything to get upset over.
Mm.
But with other kind of brands of wrestling, you can invest more time in it and it seems to be a bit more of a return because they're
Yeah.
smaller and they put more emphasis. For example, I have
Yeah, but they have much more of a need to retain audiences.
exactly like, and you see that with ICW, you see that now with OTT, and yeah. By the way, I have to give a huge shout out to OTT. Their upcoming show, the most I think it's in
Yeah.
December, has the Young Bucks and has Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes coming.
The elite.
I
Yeah.
actually have to go to that. It's just going to be epic. OTT have just come
Yeah.
on leaps and bounds. But again, like, they built their
Yeah.
brand.
I think the main event's going to be Jordan Devlin, who people might have seen in the UK Championship, taking on Mark Haskins, who's from Progress and the UK, and is fantastic.
Yeah, I
And
saw, I saw,
that's going to be their main event.
I
It's
saw him.
ridiculous.
I saw him in Dublin actually. He was there on the house show.
Yeah. Who? Devlin?
Yeah,
Yeah. The Devlin's class, man. He's really, really good. Um, like I'd say, I'd say in a couple of years' time he'll be signed
I think so. Yeah.
full time. You know, because he's just like he's young and he's a good prospect. Like,
Although I would have to say he's very small.
yeah, most guys in WWE are now.
Like,
You know.
he's like really small.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy when and I suppose we can talk a little bit about the house show now. We go back to it, but it's one thing I
Yeah.
noticed now. It's been last time I was at a house show was with yourself, Corey, and Gary.
Yeah. I think I walked to the house show. I don't think I actually went in to the house show.
Okay.
Um.
No,
Yeah.
you were there that year.
No, I don't like. Dude, I haven't been to a house show in a very long time for WWE.
Okay. Um,
Um.
but no,
But yeah, go on.
that was the last time I was at a house show, and it's weird. This time now, I noticed that like the guys there are really small.
Yeah. But you just see it on TV, like almost like I mean they've only got what two, three super heavyweights in the like four if Big Show's actually on the circuit, but like they've got four super heavyweights.
It's funny though, like
Yeah,
over the course of maybe like 4 or 5 years, the whole the whole dynamic of WWE has
yeah.
changed
But like
drastically.
the majority of the roster are light heavyweights.
Yeah,
The vast majority of them, they've got like how many like I'm I'm trying to think of like who their legit heavyweights are. Big E,
mm,
um, like Samoa Joe's super heavyweight. Baron Corbin would be a heavyweight verging on super.
yeah.
Like I'm straining with Big E and like Authors of Pain are they're probably supers, are they?
No,
Oh, they're just heavyweights.
they're heavyweights.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know
but you know what?
if the Ascension keep. Like, I wouldn't mind. Did the Ascension randomly pop up? I'm like, oh my, like they didn't even get their music, and it was just like two guys that got lost on the way to the ring. And I
Oh,
was like, oh no, like guys, come on. And I wouldn't mind. I was super pumped when they came out, and I was just like, you don't even have their music. Like it was just
oh no.
devastating. It's like literally the best thing about them.
Unlike their finisher, it's devastating.
Oh,
Oh,
so funny. But no,
that was neat.
we'll go back and cover the house show in
Yeah.
detail, like after this. But I just wanted to say, it's funny when you see this kind of WWE now. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I mean, like it's crazy. Like I mean, but that's like the good thing is that there are like the Indies is actually starting to produce some interesting heavyweights and super heavyweights now that like we might see them go to WWE soon enough. Like guys like Jeff Cobb, who's Matanza Cueto in Lucha Underground, is great. He's like terrible nickname, Mr. Athletic, but otherwise an outstanding talent. And have you seen Keith Lee?
No.
Oh man, Keith Lee's ridiculous. He's um, he's about 300 pounds, and he moves. He moves similarly um to like a Shelton Benjamin. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's cool though, like because there is that culture change now where like
yeah.
it's like for example there was a video there. I don't know if you saw it or not. You probably didn't, but I saw it and I marked out something first. It was
Mm.
when Triple H randomly showed up at ICW.
Yeah, yeah, that's class.
I was like, that's amazing. Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought
Mm.
that that was a thing?
Yeah, 2017's been a weird year.
You know? And then
Mm.
another year, and I was really really jealous that Triple H was a member of the Shield. I'm just like,
Mm.
oh man, like, come on, like, you know, I'd fly over to wherever that was, like, and just stay
Mm.
there, like, to see that alone. They
Yeah.
should have just given him all the belts at the time. You know,
Oh, oh, your unbridled love for Triple H.
like just even if it wasn't even in the match, just like when he walks out, just hand him every belt. He should have done it in ICW in
just,
ICW as
just
well.
get, just getting this image of everyone throwing toy belts at Triple H, celebrating like he's won them all.
No, but like that's
Like
what
throwing them into the ring, like Ring of Honor throw streamers,
they're
like
just belts.
just streamers of belts.
But no, that like that's the only thing that would have made that better. You know.
Oh
Still has
God.
still has time for one more run, or like the way like the other way there's like positions and jobs that like you keep for life. There should just be like
Yeah.
a belt that Triple H holds for life. They should do it.
Like the more you talk, the more I'd swear that you're talking about him like he's Gil from from The Simpsons. Come on, can't Triple H get another lick?
Just one more. Doesn't Gil get a lick? Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, like that was something. Like the European tour of WWE has like thrown up a lot of very very interesting things,
Yeah,
as well because like it was like over the course of it, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens got sent away.
yeah, and no one knows why.
No one knows why. And
People have people have speculated, but none of them like correlate to each other at all.
like I don't know.
It's kind of
The
amazing.
first thing I heard of, I was like, are they taking hints off Sabu and RVD?
Yeah, like I mean, there's so many different ways to kind of like unpack this. It's difficult to know where to start. You know,
Well,
um,
we got time.
yeah, like okay, like for me, um, like they they do have this history from certain people they've worked with. One of the most outspoken people about them has been Jim Cornette, citing them as being an absolute nightmare to work with.
Mm.
That that they go into business for themselves and they're not that they can't that they constantly just argue and overanalyze until they get their way,
But
and that doesn't surprise me.
no, like it's like a lot of things in life when stories are told, and then when stuff
Mm,
happens, and you're like, oh yeah, well this isn't shocking at all. Like
yeah.
this is very unsurprising. Like Kevin Owens, that's literally his gimmick.
Mm,
But I think it's the thing with Sami Zayn where I'm like, ah yeah, that's why I don't like you. Other than your stupid music and bad haircut,
mm,
and terrible wrestling tights and everything else. Um, it's just I wasn't shocked by it, but the weird thing about it was at the house shows, they built a lot of it around Sammy, and they built even more
mm,
around Kevin. So it's like, wow,
mm.
they've really done a lot of damage to their brand.
Themselves.
Oh, definitely to themselves, and
Like
it's like,
Um,
do
one,
what stories have you heard? And remember, guys, when we're talking about this, it is all speculation. It's
there's
all
no like
allegedly. So
this is yeah, because like there's so many conflicting ones. Like the one I've seen kind of get the most traction has been this idea that like they were supposed to feed, like on SmackDown, they were supposed to get chased to the back, then come back out again and feed to the New Day,
yeah,
and just to like to make the New Day look
look
to
strong.
come out strong.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. They didn't do that. Apparently, that's the story. Um, and like that. Okay, if that's what happened, I don't know if that means that they should get thrown off the tour. It doesn't strike it wouldn't surprise me. Like I mean, the Young Bucks again from a shoot interview talked about how um they were told by Kevin Owens that it's more important to get yourself over than get the show over.
Okay.
Like that's something like that's something that I wouldn't be surprised those guys would do.
Yeah, and like
You know?
it's horrible to think, but at the end of the day, like it's Kevin Nash even said that, where you need to kind of, are you in it to make friends or are you in it to make money,
Yeah.
And it
Like
like as I said, it's literally Kevin Owens is a gimmick. That's what he
yeah.
does. But what Sami's saying is it's surprising because a lot of people, again at Dublin he was playing the heel,
Mm.
but nobody was
I'm
buying him as a
still
heel.
like not sure about that heel character.
Yeah, well, nobody was
Yeah.
nobody except for me was booing Sami. You know,
Yeah.
um,
The problem is like he's another one of those guys where like it's I don't think that being a heel will ever really work for him because I kind of look at him the same way I look at Sting,
yeah,
which is like there's just no real point in making him a heel when he shouldn't be one.
yeah.
Like
You can't really boo Sting like.
yeah, like it's um like I've seen him work heel, but seen him work heel under a mask, where like there's like because like the physicality side of it he can do. It's just that like because of the way that like he's presented and the way he just carries himself, he's not a guy that like
He's
that
not a
an
monster.
audience is going to. No,
No.
but he's also like do you look at a guy like Sami Zayn and go, I bet that he's a dickhead,
Yes.
like just go. But like you know what I mean though, like
Yeah.
you go like
He's not
the worst thing
he's
he'll
not
do
like
is
he's not a likable dickhead.
yeah, like he's like the worst. You look at him and go like the worst thing he'll do is like steal a comic book,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No. Like they tried to, and at the house show they
Mm.
went above and beyond with Cheap Heat.
Yeah,
And it just came off as like really, really super lame
yeah.
instead of being like
I can't stand cheap heat anyway. I think
it's very played out, particularly in the PC world that WWE exists. It's like there's only so far you can go with cheap heat and not get in trouble
yeah,
for it.
yeah. But I suppose like cheap heat is just so like it's like to me seeing a heel do cheap heat is the same thing as like seeing a comedian do like have material that's based on fat jokes.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. How hard did you work on these jokes? Like, you know?
How hard did you work at the joke? Not very, obviously, but
Yeah.
and that's what it
It's
is.
just like the lowest hanging fruit. Like it's not.
But like again, like it's not hard. Like it's very easy to get people to boo you. Like
Yeah.
look at the hard job that the faces have.
Mm.
You know?
But like it's so hard for like it's such a weird thing where like it's difficult for faces to get over against heels because heels don't do anything really bad.
Yeah.
you know.
Again, it's the
Um.
whole kind of thing where like, unlike on the indie scene where like it's looser and they can kind of do stuff without worrying about shareholders or worrying about working about organizations that
It's
might get
not
offended.
it's not even like on that level of like a difficulty. It's like they're like you can't like guys can't do certain kinds of holds and can't have certain interactions with the crowd.
Yeah. So Jericho
Like
nearly went to jail for, if you remember correctly, when he like
Uh,
threw the Mexican flag down, I believe.
yeah.
And
Oh, but like I mean, even like some of the things that like you see, like one of the main reasons I don't feel like Baron Corbin works is getting over gets over as a heel, because he doesn't do anything that's particularly villainy, you
no,
know?
like he actually,
Like,
funny you mention it. Like he was defending the US belt in Dublin,
yeah,
and it was just like he was like, "Hey, okay, all
that's
right."
Baron Corbin in a nutshell.
No,
Like,
it was like no,
yeah,
literally, he was just like, "Hey, okay, gonna hit you now. All right, bye." You know, it's just like,
yeah.
"Bye, Baron." You know, it's like there was nothing
I'm
that you're.
so glad. I'm so glad you do the finish that never looks convincing or as convincing as or as believable as I expected to.
Yeah,
Like,
like I wouldn't mind like, and I even said it to the person I was with. I was like, I don't like Baron. I don't know why I don't like Baron, because I should like Baron.
I for me, I think it's just a case of like they want Baron to be 4 or 5 different things, and they can't decide which one of them he should be. So they just go, let's have him be a ransom node of all of these things, and it doesn't work. You know, like I really like the idea. Like the version of him that I really like is him being this competitor
Yeah,
who's just like, I'm gonna make money. I'm a lone wolf. I like to make money. I'm not here to make friends. I love that version of the character. I think he's brilliant. But this guy was like, I like to ride motorcycles. Cool. That has nothing to do with being a lone wolf. I like, like I like metal music. Cool. That also has nothing to do with being a lone wolf. Like, my finisher is called the End of Days. Cool. Nothing to do with being a lone wolf. Like, and
was hold on,
you know what I mean?
on a random aside, was Sammy Callahan the guy they gave the awful hacker gimmick to?
And that's the one he came up with himself, and they didn't execute as well as they wanted to, according to himself.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was another thing where it's like great idea, terrible execution.
yeah. Oh boy, was it like? But I mean, Sammy is a guy that I've followed his career for quite a while. You know that he's the same. You know that he's like the same age as Adam Cole.
Really?
Yeah, like, but I've watched him for a while. Like, he's a guy that I don't think would fit into WWE's mold. I think he would have done just fine there if they didn't hire guys like Kevin Owens and Finn Balor.
Yeah, because
Uh,
they have like better versions of what he does.
well, it's not even that they have better versions of what they do of what he does. It's just like they've got guys who can just offer enough flavors of what he does, but in more interesting ways.
Mm.
I mean, like he's like essentially like all Callahan is essentially is like a more deathmatchy version of Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
You know, and like good for Pete Dunne for for like carving a niche out that where he's able to work for WWE and in the Indies still. You know, like, but it's a difficult one where like I don't think there's a place for a guy like Sami, even though like he was able to offer them a bunch of stuff because he was able to edit all of his own vignettes and everything. But that's just the way it is. Like one reason why Cesaro got hired because he can speak 5 languages.
Yeah, well, it's also
You know,
Cesaro.
yeah.
He brings
But
so
like,
much to the table outside of just being Claudio Castagnoli. It's just like,
yeah.
yeah, it was cool, and he has all those other things. But if you're not gonna be unique, like again, like Finn has the paint and stuff like
Mm,
that, But again, we've seen the issues he's had where if he doesn't change
yeah, but
things, no one's gonna care.
Like, yeah, is Finn is an example of someone who needed a lot of close attention and care and didn't get it.
Well, he got it, and
And
then
like,
when he came to the main roster, it was
mm,
gone again.
yeah, but it's also like they like I think what what the audience seemed to want is um an approach similar to what WWE did with The Undertaker.
Yes.
And what they got was a version closer to the execution of Mordecai,
Yeah. Well, like
where,
actually, that's a very good point. What WWE failed to understand is the audience, there's a void in WWE right now. There's a void for guys. Obviously your void for your Hulk Hogan kind of guy. There's a
Yeah,
void, and that's filled to an extent by John Cena.
yeah,
Um,
and Rom.
yeah, well, Roman's less annoying than
Well,
both of them.
like as in like they're gonna just shove him into that peg,
Well, no, I see.
like
I still think Roman could end up being like The Rock
yeah, no, he could, but the problem is
or
that
Kevin
they're
Nash.
adamant on him being Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
You
true,
know,
true,
they're just adamant on him. You're like, you could end up having like a really cool character here if you just
just
let him like
just let him actually do it. Like, but no, you're right. But I mean, like
just
from a
leave him alone for a little bit and let him kind of like
develop
yeah.
as a natural human rather than a stilted whatever you're trying to make him.
Yeah.
But no, the point is like the audience have these
Well,
preconceived, conditioned.
yeah. Like the audience want a like they want they like the audience can like has this thing of going they really want like Finn and the demon to feel like separate characters and
Yeah,
separate entities,
yeah,
and then because they kind of want the idea of it to be like a demonic possession thing,
yeah.
and they're going, oh no, it's just a place that he just uses the warplane to channel his energy into a certain place, and you're like,
That's stupid.
wow, that's a much more boring version of what we want.
Yeah, no, it's like
We're talking about The Exorcist, and you're talking about whatever Oral Stein did a book on that was similar to that. Like,
No, that's actually very, very true. It's like they think a great idea, and instead of just going with it, where they would have went, heck, I'm not gonna bring up the attitude there, but like they would have
yeah,
went with that in the Federation years.
yeah,
They would have
yeah. But no, the thing is, like the Undertaker. Like one of the things I find really interesting is that like so many guys that go, like the Undertaker is one of the best characters that's ever been created in wrestling, and you go, cool. You know that's a lucha libre character, though,
yeah,
right? Like
no, it is.
that's a lucha libre character, and they're like, no, it's an American. You're like, no, that's like seriously, check out Mexico, please. Like,
Yeah, like it's like
you
he's
know,
pretty much the Grim Reaper. It's like it doesn't get more Mexican than that. Like,
no,
it's like literally,
without sticking a mask on it and having him and having him be the uncle, the cousin of the uncle
yeah,
to
no,
someone
no, but
famous, you know.
yeah, but no, that's what I mean. Like it's without having the mask and Junior at the end of the title or whatever. It's like it does. It's very, 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 very interesting and very, very unique, and that's why it was able to capture the attention. Same thing happened with Sting when he put the paint on. He
Yep.
became a different person, and it wasn't like, oh, he went to it. It's like, no, he literally became a different person because
Yeah.
that's what they want. They want that
Yeah, but I
interesting.
suppose that like that was even the thing of like he went into like he went into a darker place because that's what he needed to become to fight the NWO.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like it's a character development and progress and all these things that are just so lacking.
But it's weird because all the
Within their
like
character.
wrestling is like it's interesting because people like still give it so many chances and it's just chance after chance and you just mess it up so consistently that
Yeah,
it's painful. And you saw this with like when Kurt Angle returned. Everybody was over the moon to see Kurt Angle return. They were so happy that he was back, and then when he wrestled again, which was crazy, why did they let him near a ring? Kurt Angle
because
like
it's Kurt Angle and he was always going to he was going to wrestle in that ring,
But I
one
just,
way or
I
another.
just, I can't believe it. I'm like, this is the man who they let go, in his prime.
Mm.
Well, what we found out was later his prime, but he just did a retirement tour for TNA because of health issues, and then he's in a ladder match because that's safe. I'm sure it's fine. It wasn't just a regular match. No, it's a
It was a
TLC
TLC match.
TLC ladder match where they throw
Mm.
ladders at each other and put people through tables and hit each other with chairs. It's like, you know what?
Safe.
Safe, so safe. You know, it's just like, what? How did they think? You know what? We have a guy with a bad neck and he's getting up there, and he has a history with concussion. Yeah, let's just put him in where like one of our dangerous matches. It's
Yeah.
just, and now they're
Just
talking about
put him in, well, you know what's safe because he's on the same team as the guy who retired Sting.
exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh well, if he was on the other team, maybe we have to worry about it. But uh, no, they're talking about like clearing Daniel O'Brien for resting. It's like, listen, I know you like wrestling, Danny O'Brien, and we liked when you were wrestling too, but
Yeah.
you nearly died, like, it's maybe
Mm,
time to stop chasing that ghost, but
yeah.
that,
Well, like I mean, like that Daniel Bryan case is like so interesting as well because like I mean he's been cleared by so many non WWE doctors.
yeah, but like, here's the thing,
You
like,
know.
and this is the specter that hangs over wrestling, well,
Mm,
like a specter. Do we want another Chris Benoit?
yeah.
It's like
Well,
you can be as safe,
it,
you can be as safe as you
yeah.
want, but it
Like
only takes,
Daniel Bryan's this like weird fusion of Mick Foley and Chris Benoit, so there's a 50-50 chance it'll turn out really well.
dude. Mick Foley is not a good example to hold up as well. Like
Yeah, no.
the man can't
But like,
walk. You know,
consider what the other side of that is.
yeah, but
Yeah, it's pretty okay.
no, but
Like,
neither are like the picture of health. Like it's Mick Foley can't walk in the mornings. And it's like
I mean, like I was thinking about this the other day because I was going to make that comparison before that. Like, he's this weird comparison of like he's this weird amalgamation of Mick Foley and Chris Benoit, also known as Terry Funk. And
yeah, for some reason Terry Funk's managed to weather the storm better than everybody, and he's had he's supposed I don't know how his body isn't just dust at this point, but
yeah, it's really weird. It's weird to think that like he's wrestled longer than Ric Flair.
yeah, and he's still wrestling.
Like he's still going.
Actually, there was a picture
You
that was posted on the Rest of You group. If you guys want to join it, you can. It's over on Facebook. It's the Train Adam group, actually. You
Yeah,
haven't changed the name yet, but if you want to check it out, you can. It was a picture of all the ECW guys at a recent con.
yeah.
Jesus,
I would not want to see that photo.
no, it's no. I will say Jerry Lynn looks great.
Yeah,
Stevie
but Jerry Lynn always looked great.
Stevie Richards. It's weird. He looks like a basketball coach now in high
Yeah,
school. Um, Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie look fantastic. Like Stevie Richards
yeah.
looks like he's in the best shape of his life. Same with
Steve
Blue Meanie.
Richards works for DDP Yoga.
That's crazy. I'm not shocked. Like,
Mm,
but
no,
and Meanie looks great as well. He's lost loads of weight now, and you know, he actually
not
looks
good
like.
for Meanie.
No, it's not good for Meanie because that was a gimmick. But I'm sure it's because of
Yeah.
his heart or whatever. But
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Good for Meanie. I mean,
yeah, I know for sure. Like, but yeah, the rest of the lads, you know, cocaine's a hell of a drug, as they say, and whatever else
yeah,
they were allegedly doing. But it's kind
mm,
of sad to see because it's all the years of hard partying and abuse to your
everything
body.
else.
It's really taking a toll now. But that was a sad kind of picture to see. And my fear with this kind of stuff is like, yeah, we don't have the drug problem that it
Yeah,
did have back in the day, but the lads coming up now obviously are not going to deal with the same things that
mm.
Danny
Well,
O'Brien.
I mean,
But,
I mean, Seth Rollins at this point, I'm pretty sure he's like not. He's going to be in a wheelchair by the time that he's in his. He'll probably have some kind of like
well, like a
I
dynamite
don't
kid.
think Seth's gonna be able to like walk without assistance. At least in his 50s at this point.
Well, like a dynamite kid
You
kind of
know.
thing.
Well, no, maybe not that much, but like just considering the amount of damage that's got happened to his knees in the last couple of
Oh
years,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't think like unless like he's able to get like some crazy medical advancement, I don't think he's gonna be walking without assistance of some kind.
Maybe, yeah, like because
You know.
when your knees go, that's bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost as bad as when your heel goes. Um,
Yeah, I don't know, they're the two of the worst injuries you can get.
yeah.
You know.
It's kind of
Yeah.
it's like it's not an if, it's a when kind of thing. Then when your
Yeah.
career's over, but
Yeah, and like a lot of those guys are going to be like are in that same kind of boat where they're just all going to have like just crappy, like especially like the lighter guys who are just like who are able to do more moves are just going to have like fused ankles and stuff,
oh
by
yeah.
the time they're 50s, like
Well, like again, we don't know exactly when what will happen as far as medical advances down the road, but
yeah,
based on the what's come before, it's not good news.
no,
It's really not. But
no, I mean it's kind of like people went from like doing tons of coke and lifting weights to eating right and like eating right and crossfitting and just doing that to oblivion. You know,
CrossFitting. It's like it's gone completely the other way. It's like,
yeah,
hooker
and
hook.
playing video games.
Well, it's like hookers and blow to
Yeah,
CrossFit video games. It's
yeah.
like,
Drinking
yeah,
a Red Bull for some pep.
it's like, oh my God, it's so crazy. But yeah,
Mm,
like it's funny, But I, it's also I do worry when I see stuff like Danny O'Brien talking about getting back
mm,
in the ring and Kurt Angle actually being in the ring, you know. And it's just like
yeah.
no, it's too much. But that's what everyone wants to do. That's what he wants to do, and it's better than him leaving, I suppose. But maybe don't have Kurt Angle in a TLC match anytime soon again. But I did enjoy seeing him in the ring because I'm a Kurt Angle fan, and it was
Mm.
cool seeing him in the Shield. Doing the whole Shield poses. It was like, the memes were spicy after it.
Oh,
But yeah, I would
some
have
spicy image.
spicy memeage. I would have to say real quick again. We talked about Wrestle Kingdom
Mm.
9, the card. Just to remind everybody, like this is how good the card was. Red Dragon defeated Forever Hooligans, the Time Splitters, and the Young Bucks. Um,
Red Dragon, by the way, are Kyle O'Reilly
and Bobby
and
Fish.
Bobby Fish, who are in NXT right now.
Yes, pretty much most of this card are filled with lads who are either top stars or in NXT. So,
Yeah,
it's definitely one to watch if you haven't seen it. Then we also had, just gonna pull through this as well. Mituro Shiniki, uh, Kashuku Sakubara. That was a legit shoot match,
mm,
which I think it ended by referee stoppage. It was very, very good. Um, Hold on, I want to picture really good match with Kenny Omega. This was when he was with the Young
mm.
Bucks, and it was
Yeah,
a singles match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and had Ryuku Taigi. He was the champion.
mm.
Very, very good match there as well. I really like. My favorite. That's when you're doing the Bullet Club thing, hardcore, because Jeff Jarrett had just joined the Bullet Club at this time. So throughout the whole
Oh
show,
God.
no, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, no, I just remember him joining and like just collective groans from people just going, "Oh my God."
Yeah, no.
Not another thing Jeff Jarrett has to get his fingers on.
Well,
Like,
to be fair, if it wasn't for him, a lot of people wouldn't have seen this show because it was the whole, Global Force Wrestling tie-in and had all that kind of stuff. So it did serve a
the database, man.
it did it did serve the purpose. But the real talking points in this was, the main events. So
Mm.
AJ Styles defeated Taishiki Naito, and that was a singles match. Unbelievable match. This is when AJ Styles was getting the TNA stink off him, and he was breaking necks around the world
That
in the
match
gym.
on its own just got the stink off of him.
Yeah. You know, obviously, I made a joke there about breaking necks. That was quite horrific when it happened, but it,
Oh
it,
God.
it it did help sell the Styles
Oh, it
Clash.
created a mystique. It
Yeah.
absolutely created a mystique around that move.
And it totally was not his fault because you don't took your neck taking that move, but
Yeah.
a lot of guys did.
But like
So
there was a weird rash of that because I remember like he around the same time he was in Ring of Honor and he wrestled Roderick Strong and he tucked his head on it too and Roddy tucked his head on it too
yeah,
and you're like, oh God.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
it's
remember the worst angle I saw from it was like from Kevin Steen's mobile phone.
yeah.
It was just like, oh God, that's horrific.
No, it was one of those things where like you're just thinking they're going, why? No, don't. But the
Mm,
match itself, one of the best AJ Styles matches anyone will ever see. The next match, the next two matches actually are probably the two best matches of the past 10 years. Uh, Shinsuke Nakamura defeated
mm.
Kyoto Ibushi for the IWGP,
Coda.
or Kota Ibushi, sorry, for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Holy
Mm.
cow, this match was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
She's so friggin' good.
They were both very good. I think
Yeah.
like after this match, um, Nakamura was already like a household name in Japan and in most parts of America. But after
Mm.
this match, this is the match that really kind of woke people up over here I started hearing his name a lot more um,
Yeah.
after it, and it was fantastic. It really was. And then the main event was Tanahashi and Okada, which is half an hour, so it's a long match, but it's a match that I'd recommend if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and it's the best match. It capped off probably the best card since WrestleMania 17. For me, it's one of the best matches I've ever seen. Had everything, and it was crazy because, like, again, I'm not a regular watcher of New Japan because you can't be. It's very hard. Well, unless you buy the.
Unless you want to pay, unless you want to buy New Japan World,
Oh,
which is
exactly,
like
exactly. It's like
is like about €7 a
yeah,
month.
but as far as like I'm going from someone who would watch it on TV,
Yeah.
so you can't watch it on television. You have to actually get it through the app, and I'll go through this and all that kind of stuff. And look, I know for a lot of
Mm.
people going, oh, that's just an app or whatever, but again, looking at this from a customer standpoint.
Yeah. Well, you're basically asking people to take a risk
Again,
in
yeah, and like so,
something they may or may not like.
and remember at this time as well, I knew what New Japan was. I watched a fair bit of it, but I
Mm.
wasn't keeping it up week to week. And still, these two guys who I wasn't 100% familiar with, I knew the basic story. The commentators were JR and Matt Striker, so they were able to carry the whole story all the way through, despite all of its handicaps. And it's an incredible show, end to end, a phenomenal show worth your time. And guys, watch it. It's a hell of a lot better than what you see in WWE most weeks. It's
Mm.
better than the TLC show was great, but even for some reference, see what AJ Styles was doing, see how he developed when he was in New Japan. Watch Nakamura when he was in Japan. You know, uh, Definitely worth it, and I just had to bring it up there because we did talk
Mm.
about it, and so people were like, "Well, what's going on?" But check it out. But real quick, switching gears into the live show from the Tree Arena from November at the beginning of the month. Yeah, I kind of went on a whim. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I remember we were talking about the card before. It was like ridiculously good.
no, the card was, and it didn't disappoint. I took my girlfriend to the show, and we haven't, like, she never saw wrestling before, like, ever,
Mm.
except for Glow. She's
Oh,
really,
like the Netflix series.
yeah, she's super into the show. By the
Mm.
way, which is actually a phenomenal show. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's great.
So many like random wrestling,
If you're a wrestling fan, it's such a joy to watch
and
because
for
like
the cameos as well. Like, you're like, oh my
yeah,
god, that's there. Even Christopher Daniels is randomly in it, selling in the
yeah.
ring, which he always does. But no, definitely a good show. But I was like, hey, look, I'll get tickets and we'll go see the show. Now, here's the crazy thing about it, right? I couldn't get ringside tickets, which sucked. And they got rid of the €50 tickets.
No way.
Yeah, they got rid of it now. So it's like 60 for like mid-range tickets. Sorry, it's like 65 for mid-range tickets or 70 for ringside. I was like, feck it, cheap seats, whatever.
Mm.
Go for the standard cheap seats. When we got there, we got upgraded.
No way.
Everybody got upgraded because they didn't sell enough. It wasn't sold out on the top tier. It was sold out at ringside. So what they did is they upgraded everybody to €60 tickets
That's class.
and moved everybody down, which was cool and which was nice now. But the cool thing about Tree Arena, and I will say this because it's very true, no matter where you're sitting, um, you'll see. You
Yeah.
see really well. But it was cool for her to actually be able to see the show and to have the look at it from all that kind of stuff. But it was an interesting show. It was definitely one of the best house shows I was ever at. Because
Mm. That's good.
you've been at a load, I've been at a load. Usually they're bad. I stopped going because they were so bad and they were so pointless. But this actually had some sort of weight to it, and it was interesting because stuff happened on the show that, in hindsight, makes a lot of sense, particularly with AJ Styles. We'll get to that, but
Yeah.
gonna run down the card really, really quick. So we went through it, and it did change a fair bit, man. It wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, every card is subject to change.
Yeah, it did change, and it says at the end, but Bazango and the Bludgeon Brothers were the interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, because Uh, there was a surprise kind of smalls match halfway through, because Bazango came out to save the two lads, the two Irish lads, Tucker and Jordan Devlin,
Yeah.
because they won their match against Tyler Bate and Trent Seven. But then
Oh,
the
cool.
Bludgeon Brothers got absolutely, they just came out and battered the two of them. They just
Oh God.
killed them in the ring. Like it was a murder, you know, and it was horrible because you're like, ah, lads, you're getting hammered. But yeah, the Bludgeon Brothers came out and Bazango were going to save them, but they didn't actually save them. They were going heel as well, which brought out the
Mm.
Ascension. And then we ended up with a random match with the Ascension teaming with the Bludgeon Brothers going against Bazango, and I can't remember who else was there. Um, but it,
Mm.
but it was a random match that nothing really was achieved, and because there was no promos during most of the show, um, it made no sense. So what I will say about this is like, no, like seriously, like there were promos from time to time, but I wish somebody had grabbed the microphone and just said, "Hey, look, we're gonna fight you now." It was none of that. It was like random match for no reason.
Yeah.
And that was my only real criticism of the show. Whereas like the only time I ever experienced a live commentator, except for being a live commentator for the show, not for TV, was at like WWA
Mm.
shows when they had someone do commentary over the house, which is what they probably should do for house shows. They probably should have a commentator. Just
Mm.
it makes things way better. And you can, I don't know. It's just, and that's one thing that uh, my girlfriend said to me when we were there. She goes, "There's no commentator," and other people there as well were like, "There's no commentator." It seems weird, It's very different than it is on TV. And yeah, well, I get it. It is the experience of the live show. It does kind of. There's a lot of
Yeah,
tums,
I
and
think that like the idea is that like that could manipulate the audience into reacting or not reacting to things.
yeah, but like in this example, like a match appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
People just showed up for no reason. And that was what was weird because like if you're watching it every week, fair
Is
enough.
it, like that should just be surely like the ring announcer going, the match has been changed to this,
Yeah,
and
and there wasn't, there was nothing. And so
that's strange.
yeah, it was very strange. It was very, very odd. But I was really happy to see the Ascension. I didn't come out with their music. So I was instantly like, "Oh man, what's the point like?" Just go back to catering. It's like do it again or else, don't, do it properly or don't do it. So that was my disappointment. But the rest of the card, it did change a fair bit, as I said. Like Nakamura had a fantastic match with Kevin Owens. Um, Sin Cara, Sami Zayn was added to. It became a triple threat match. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, and that was with Bobby Roode. No, sorry,
That's an odd mix of people.
no, sorry, it wasn't Bobby Roode. It was Dolph Ziggler.
Even so, an odd mix of
Yeah.
people.
Well, you can guess why he was there.
Yeah.
He took the pinfall. So there were,
Well, that's what he does.
yeah, like poor Dolph. In the match that he was in, he was only there for one reason, and that was just take the pinfall, and that
Mm.
was it. Bobby Roode
You know
was,
what's bad with Sin Cara when they're pushing Sin Cara ahead of you.
yeah, no, pushing Sin Cara pretty hardcore, man. So it's a thing that they seem to want to get him over, and kids cheer him, so
Mm.
he's gonna move merch. Bobby Roode was super over, so fair play to Bobby Roode. Everybody, he got the big glorious chant, and people were happy to see him. Kevin Owens was booed and then not booed. Sami Zayn wasn't booed at all. New Day were super over, super 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 over. The Usos are literally LAX now.
Yeah.
I hate it so much because I'm like, I love LAX. Why are you stealing their gimmick? You even have the same stupid rap music that they have. Come on, guys.
Mm.
It's lame. Here's where it got interesting. It got very interesting. AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal had a match. Okay. Now, Jinder Mahal cut a 10-minute promo.
Yeah.
Yeah. and he cut it in English and he cut it in Indian as well. Fair. Now, the whole conceit was that AJ Styles was going to challenge him for the belt. And he was like, oh no, you didn't respect me, you didn't respect my culture, so you're not getting the title match. Then, news broke that, like, literally on the day, a couple of minutes before the show, that AJ was going to challenge for the belt. And it was, it was rumored. And then he confirmed it on the show after he won the match, because
Mm.
AJ won the match. And he confirmed that he was going to challenge on SmackDown. Which was weird, and obviously, you've been to enough house shows where you're like, yeah, they obviously plugged this stuff. But it was weird that he did it because, like, he got booed instantly because he brought up Manchester, and people were like, oh, don't bring up England and Ireland, blah blah blah. So he made sure to reference it and be like, no, no, look, hear me out, let me say it, because it's important that I say it. I'm like, this is weird, this is very strange, this is not a wrestling promo, this is like a hint of thing. He goes, yeah, I'm gonna beat him, and then I'm gonna go beat Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series.
Mm.
So he obviously knew what was going down beforehand. Uh,
Yeah, well, like as soon as the match was announced, there was rumors immediately circulated that he was going to win.
yeah, and he did, and then obviously we know, spoilers alert, that this week he won the belt off Jinder Mahal. Now, so I will say, and huge props to whoever's booking these house shows. They're very good. If you've been put off them like I was for years, give it another shot.
They seem to have gotten their act together a bit.
They've got their act together, and it's nice to see. I don't feel like I was cheated out of my money. We all had a good time. Obviously, I got upgraded. So did everybody else. So that was cool. But even if I wasn't, I would have been happy enough because I didn't feel like I was cheated out of anything. Um, yeah, but how weird is that whole situation with Jinder Mahal for you?
Um, see, like, there's just so many. Okay. Jinder was a guy that I never really thought should have been a heel champion to begin with, because how can you have a guy who always, like, am I supposed to really hate a guy who I don't perceive as being, that I kind of feel got lucky into being a winner? Like, shouldn't he be more like, I'm gonna just like fight like it's it's my last breath, because I mean, every other chance of this, I just like only just got back here. Shouldn't that be shouldn't that be the way he presents himself? You know, and his title run has been more or less a disaster. I mean, he's definitely, like, I think because he's been able to get in the ring with top level talent, his ability to work in a match has improved massively. But I don't perceive him as a main eventer. I don't even think I perceive him as being a semi-main eventer. I think, like, he's lost now, and I don't expect him to get the title back. I don't even expect him to challenge again.
Well,
You
see
know?
that's where it's interesting though, because there is talk that he will get the belt back because they're going to India now in a couple of months.
Yeah, and he's probably I don't expect it, because I just don't, like, I don't, because of how I perceive him.
Well, that's
know?
true. Even when he was cutting his promo, it all came off as fiercely lame.
Yeah,
Because
because it's not like,
some people are like, oh, but JBL was taught the same way, and yeah, but JBL was still a badass. He still had the whole acolytes thing. Like his clothesline from hell was still something that was fierce. He was a
no, the
hardcore
clothesline
champion.
from hell was like it was a legitimately vicious move that, like, had like like there was like that was like, oh, had always been presented as, if you get hit by that, you're gonna, like, if you're gonna get pinned, or you're like, are you just not gonna be in the factor in the match anymore?
Exactly. It was built up.
Like, yeah, like, it's not and like, when I say when are you losing it, it's like, some people go, like, wasn't that the reaction you wanted? It's like, okay, like, there's a difference between going, I can't wait for you to lose, and being,
When are you losing?
when are you, like, it's like, when can someone interesting have this title?
Yeah. It's the
Like,
whole the difference between Heat and X-Pac Heat.
yeah,
They're not the same thing. And I think WWE
yeah,
haven't got that yet, but they will. And it's cool for AJ because he gets another run. He's the biggest star in wrestling right now. Everybody loved him. He was super over, and it's cool. AJ is my favorite wrestler at the moment, so I was thrilled. Um, I will have to say, actually, going back to the house show, it was crazy to see AJ wrestle in front of people. That was insane for me. I've been seeing AJ
Yeah.
wrestle for 10 years in person, and it's the first time I ever saw him wrestle in front of people. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It must be weird to like um it must be weird to like see AJ wrestle in front of the most amount of women you've ever seen
Yeah,
you've ever seen at a wrestling
I
show.
think so.
Like
Actually, that's very true. That's actually a very, very good point. There were a lot of women there compared to, when you go to a TNA show and there's like two maybe. And
yeah.
that's it. That's
And
very,
their
very good point.
moms.
And their moms, yeah, who thought they were buying a ticket for a WWE show.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was a good show. I think SmackDown's in a really good place now at the moment, with the exception of some of the other uh points that we touched on. But what's coming up next? WWE Survivor Series is very soon,
Yeah,
right?
well, there's the NXT show next week as well.
Yeah, so
But
that's War Games, and we're going to talk about that next week. So
mhm.
it's the way it's running is obviously our show comes out every Monday, so we will either do a recap early on Monday next week, or else we'll do a preview on Sunday. The best thing to do, guys, is go over to our Facebook page and keep an eye there, because that's when we, post the shows, or whenever we'll put an update there. So that's the best place to reach us. Is there anything you'd like to plug in before we wrap this up?
Um, yeah, I think the only thing I'm going to plug is for anyone who has Steam. If you haven't gotten it yet, do get Fire Pro Wrestling World. It is fan bloody tastic. Um,
Sweet.
yeah, like yeah, certainly like it's a third of the price of WWE and doesn't have microtransactions, which is always nice.
Yes, please.
So
Oh my God, dude.
and
And it
yeah,
also doesn't have
and you can
random,
download the entire WWE roster. So
and it doesn't have random product placement and
no,
KFC achievements for some reason.
yeah. And if you download, if you get MP3 versions of wrestlers, you can just like pop them straight into a folder and then into the one of the folders for the game, and then just use that as their entrance music,
Perfecto.
which is lovely. Like it's so refreshing being able to do what you want creatively in a game.
Well, that's the great thing
You know,
about PC in general. You can kind of do whatever you want. But
yeah.
no,
But I mean, like it's got a Steam's Workshop integrated
oh, fantastic.
into it. So like, yeah, the mods, the amount of mods.
Well, I will also plug that I haven't played it yet, but I have kept up with the development
Fantastic.
of it, and it looks awesome. I can't wait to play it myself. We need to get the creator on at some point, Bryn, and try to get him to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
'Cause
Uh,
that would be cool. And guys, if there's anything you want us to cover, if there's any shows you want us to do, if there's any interviews you want us to try and get, let us know. I have a bunch of wrestling DVDs that I will be reviewing on small interviews on the show, small reviews on the show. Well, not the show, but the channel, because we are trying to improve more content here. And so let us know what you want there. And until next week, guys, this has been the Rest Review International Desk every single Monday on Phoenix 92.5 FM at 11 p.m. Irish time. And of course, here on YouTube at WViDesk 2016. So until next week, talk to you then.
bye.